Ada satu lagi Bu, Hana Hanifah, Hana Alia.
Oke, sudah Pak.
Oke, thank you.
Oke, selamat siang dan selamat datang. Teman-teman, terima kasih atas sudah masuk Pak, iya. Oke, saya bisa buka ya Pak ya. Oke. Selamat siang dan selamat datang teman-teman Binusian yang telah hadir pada siang hari ini. Terima kasih atas waktunya yang telah diberikan. Jadi hari ini kita kembali mengadakan kampus hiring kerjasama antara Binus Career dengan Ion Group. Nah mungkin teman-teman di sini beberapa ada yang belum familiar dengan Ion Group itu sendiri ya. Nah pada kesempatan kali ini nanti teman-teman bisa langsung berinteraksi, tahu lebih banyak tentang Ion Group. Dan tentunya siang ini kita juga sudah kedatangan tim dari Ion Group yang nantinya akan memberikan company session dan informasi-informasi maupun career opportunity yang akan dibuka dari Ion Group, khususnya dalam Ion Leadership Development Program. Nah, teman-teman, siang hari ini menarik sekali nih karena kita kedatangan beberapa orang dari Ion Group yang nantinya juga akan membahas sebuah topik tentang start your career in a dynamic and fast-paced global fintech and automation provider. Nah, teman-teman, siang hari ini bersama kita nih udah ada beberapa rekan-rekan dari Ion Group. Ada Flavio di sini. Halo Flavio, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks.
Oke, lalu ada beberapa tim lainnya juga dari Ion Group yang nanti akan mempresentasikan informasi mengenai Ion Group itu sendiri. Nah, teman-teman tetap stay tune ya di Zoom ini karena kita juga live di YouTube. Jadi kalau nanti teman-teman ada kesulitan koneksi juga bisa join via YouTube. Dan nanti kalau ada pertanyaan, kita juga akan membuka sesi tanya jawab. Jadi teman-teman boleh open mic dan juga boleh share pertanyaannya di kolom chat box. Nah, tanpa kita membuang waktu lebih lama lagi, kita langsung aja mendengarkan informasi apa sih yang akan disampaikan untuk tahu lebih banyak nih tentang Ion Group dan opportunity yang diberikan. Oke, to Flavio, the screen is yours.
Sure. Thank you very much for the introduction, and we're excited to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Flavio. I am an LDP, so I'm completing the Leadership Development Program, and I'm based in London. And today I'm helping out a bit the team in Jakarta to launch the Leadership Development Program in Jakarta as well, in APAC. Today I'll speak a little bit about Ion as well as at very high level, the Leadership Development Program. However, the real interesting facts will come from the rest of the team. We have a brilliant team today. So we have Raj and Christian, who are Commodities Product Development Directors based in Jakarta. And they will be speaking a little bit about the technologies we are developing there. Then we have Lisa, who is essentially heading the human resources and office facilities in Jakarta, and she will speak a little bit about working in Jakarta, the office, and the benefits that Ion provides. And then we're joined by Anastasia and Hannah, who are a lead software engineer as well as a full stack software engineer, respectively. And finally, we will hear a little bit about Tanay's story as an LDP. And Tanay is based in Noida in India, and he has completed the Leadership Development Program. So he'll be able to tell you personally more about his story. So we're joined by essentially a global team. We have quite a bit to cover, and we hope you'll enjoy the presentation. So a little bit about Ion. So before actually saying what ION is, I'd like to share a bit about the vision of the company. So ION is a global fintech. So it's a financial software provider. And the core vision, aim of the company is to boost, to allow for automation. So that means helping our clients automate workflows to increase efficiencies and to really liberate people from repetitive manual tasks, and allowing them to focus on more interesting tasks. And so really leverage the 21st century wave of innovation towards more automated software products, to, let's say, be a step ahead in the financial industry. So that's the vision. But how is ION structured? So ION is a global investment group, and we have 3 core brands. So we have what you see on the left. It's ION Markets. Let's say it was the first brand, which is where everything began back in 1998. And in ION Markets, we provide software to financial institutions to facilitate their essentially mostly their trading, so within capital markets. So that means, say we work with equity traders, and they need software to help them book the trade. So that means actually booking a trade on the exchange, as well as processing that trade. So that means ensuring that all the information we have for that trade are correct, and then eventually doing the accounting. So connecting that trade to the books and records of the clients, and all that, we call it front to back process within capital markets for different asset classes like equities, foreign exchange, and bonds. All that is ION Markets. And as you can see in the middle of the screen, we have the brands we work with, some of them, and you can see, you may notice a lot of names in terms of from the banking sector. Then we have ION Analytics, which is in the center. ION Analytics is all to do with data flows and insights, intelligence. So it's more so information essentially still about financial markets. So this allow to essentially say those traders I was talking about earlier, they are facilitated by having data analytics for them, perhaps predictive models that they can use made from us, as well as insights from our journalists, and that this really informs their investment decision making, and everything has to do with the data, the analytics, the insights. And again, you can see some of the brands we work for in the middle. You may notice here that we don't just work with banks, we also work with, for example, corporates, because really everyone, whether you're a bank or you're, say, a corporation, everyone really needs this type of information about financial markets, a bit like everyone should read the news type of thing. And then finally, we have on the right, last but not least, it's actually where we have a very, very large client base. It's ION Corporates. And in ION Corporates, we work closely, of course, with the corporates to develop and implement treasury systems. So these are systems that, let's say, a company can use to better manage their cash flows, their accounts internally, or commodity, which is essentially the trading, the risk management, the cash flows, the processing of the trades, all to do with essentially commodities. So that's raw materials, for example, coming from directly from the earth, and there is a very large market for that. And there is a logistic element of that in terms of, say, for example, tracking pipelines, as well as a trading element like trading barrels of oil and so on and so forth. So that's its own really brand. It's a brand on its own. And again, you will see here we work. Of course, we don't work as much with the banks as such, as you saw with ION Markets, for example. We work a lot with many corporations with very different profiles, whether it's for treasury or commodity. And then you can see on the bottom of the slide, it's some of the statistics about the company, just to show a bit of the impact that we have. So you see we have $23 trillion worth of annual transactions. So that is not transactions we make from our accounts. However, when you put together, let's say, the transactions that we help clients do, we help them facilitate. We facilitate that 22 trillion for the clients. So that means that we have quite a bit of an impact across the world, I would say, and that all comes from our softwares that we really put a lot of focus on building. So that's hopefully provides a bit of a visual idea of how the company is structured, and to give you a bit more insight. So this is the story. We started in 1998 with Ion Markets. So with the software solutions we're providing, were mostly related to capital markets trading, front to back office. But then we moved towards around 2011. We started moving to corporates, where we started getting into the treasury systems, as well as more into the commodity space. And then finally, lately, so I mean, since 2017 or so, we started entering the data space. So that's where Ion Analytics as a brand was founded. What you see here, all these little logos you see here, it's the acquisitions done, the major acquisitions done over time. So you can see that we have grown as a company organically, so by expanding our sales, but also by doing some acquisitions, so that today we're able to have a group of many softwares, of many products, a very large product portfolio, thanks to the fact that not only we developed them in-house, but also we made acquisitions, and now we're able to have very large offerings. You can see on the bottom of the slides, the number of employees has increased quite exponentially, and the company is still set to grow. So this is the perfect time to really ride the wave and become part of this very fast-growing company in all aspects. So in all areas, the three that I showed you earlier, they are all growing very quickly. So that's a little bit about the story. And finally, to give you a sense of where we are, we're in more than 50 locations, and we let's say we cover most, if not all, continents. And these are not all of the offices we have, but these are the main ones. And we have a very high degree of interconnection between the offices, which means that if you are based perhaps in India, very likely your team would be span across, you'd be working with people across the world. And I mean, of course, same for Jakarta, or maybe later the rest of the team can speak more about actually the experience. But essentially, we have a very high degree of interconnection, and we have, as I was saying earlier, quite a global impact. So that's all about Ion. If you have any questions about the company, we have a Q&A later. More than happy to answer any of those. Now, moving to the introduction into the leadership development program. So what is this leadership development program? So it's a program designed for graduates or final year students, just like yourself, who will essentially embark in a journey to bridge a gap from being a student to being to set up a successful career that you will be content with, and that will truly develop you at 360 degrees. What the scheme does, and the way we achieve this, is by giving the chance to the graduates to do over the course of 2 years to rotate across various different areas. And the way it works is like this. So we start with a global induction where for about 2 weeks, LDPs that are hired across all over the world have a global induction, which means that their onboarding into the company is aligned, and the grads are connected. So between the offices, there is connection. So a lot of networking there. And then after that, there are 3 6-month rotations. So the first rotation, say for example, you may go into a role, and then that role after 6 months will change to another one, and then after 6 months will change to another one. Now, what that means is that the exposure of roles you will get would be quite different. So you can move in terms of different actual roles. So from product management, so where you see in the bottom, to software development, from software development to client support, or vice versa. So you can actually change what you're doing, the skills you're developing between rotations. But also, there's also a chance for you to move different areas of business. So that means you could do product management in, say, commodities, but then or a product of commodities that focuses on a specific business area or location, geographic location. But then you can still do product management for the second rotation, but move to a different business area. So it can be still commodities, but a completely different product, so that does things quite differently. So the tech stack with that would be very different. So the products are very different. So you'd still do product management, but into different ways. So to reiterate that, you can either change role, where you develop different skills, or you can perhaps maybe do the same role, but in 2 different business areas. At the end of these 3 rotations, which 6 months, 3 rotations, that's 18 months. It's not yet 2 years, or actually it gets to 3 if you want to see the full process. There's the vertical dive, which is where essentially you will be able to choose the area that you found yourself to like the most. So the role. So say after these 18 months, you really enjoyed your time in software development, and you think that you really want to get really good at it and progress, then that's what you could be doing for your vertical dive. And then you can also see what area of the business you like the most, and then focus on that. So say, for example, if you really liked commodities, that's where you could do your vertical dive, and you will be for around a year, you will be focused on that. It's not a 6 months rotations anymore. After a bit of time, if you realize that may not be what exactly you wanted, there is also a chance to move your vertical dive. So you go to a new vertical. So it can be a new business area, new role. And the reason why we allow for that is because, as I said at the beginning, the aim of the scheme is to bridge the gap between you as students and then the career you actually want to do. So if the change that needs to happen in between, we are happy to accommodate for the flexibility for that. So that's a little bit about the leadership development program. In terms of, in terms of the offices where LDPs are, we have 8 LDP offices as of 2021, and in 2022 we are adding 6 more. So this year we are expanding into APAC, so Hong Kong, Singapore, and Jakarta will be new offices. We're also expanding in the US with 3 new offices in the US. As we've had more than 250 analysts so far. It all started in around 2013 in New York, and then since then we've grown quite a lot, the leadership development program. And then the key thing, now see all these dots across the map. Now imagine networks between them. Essentially, there is a lot of exposure to, as I said also a bit earlier, to other offices. So if LDPs have a global network, and it's possible to really for you to talk to LDPs, there are cities like London, like Jersey, if you're interested. So there's a lot of interconnectivity there, and there's international exposure. So that's that in terms of the map. And finally, some of the highlights. So when I was asked what are the highlights, I could list like 10, but I thought that would be a bit too many to show on a slide. So we put here 6. So the first one is that there are 3 rotations, which allows you to essentially discover what it would mean to do 3 different jobs and in 3 different areas if you wanted to, which is all you need when you're starting your career. It's very good to get that exposure because you can't be sure coming out of university what you exactly want to do. So having experience in a bit of various fields will let you really put your see in at first hand what it means to do different types of jobs, so that you're better at choosing your final one. Then you will develop a breadth of skills. So by doing these 3 jobs, you will develop in different ways. So of course, if you do 6 months in UX design and 6 months in software engineering, you can imagine that you will essentially develop skills for both, and pretty strong skills for both, which increases your toolkit. And it's extremely important in the 21st century to be flexible and have a flexible toolkit of skills, because it's very common to be thrown into different projects and pick up new ways of working. So your adaptability and flexibility is very important for your career success. And then, as I said earlier, there's a global network of LDP analysts. So I think Tane will be able to share a bit later about that. So I won't say too much here. And then there's the ability. So of course, by doing the 3 rotations, you would be able to adapt quickly, because what will happen is usually where you'll find your career is that for the first few weeks, or say a month, you really have to learn a lot. The learning curve is very steep. So if you have to do it different times, like we do allow for that in the scheme, you will learn to essentially learn very quickly and adapt quickly. And then fifth, it's the cross-continent exposure. So again, maybe the team can speak a bit more later, but there's exposure to different, like your team, you can work for a product or within commodities with teams across the globe. And finally, for those analysts or graduate development program students, those ones that really excel and really show that they have a lot of value, they will get access to senior management, meaning that it doesn't happen on day one, but in the long term, if there's value that's noticed, if you're really bright, it will be possible for you to be exposed to more senior management and really be involved in high profile projects. So that's some highlights of the LDP. If you want to challenge any of them, ask me any question any of them, keep them for the end of the session. So that's a little bit about Ion Group and about the Leadership Development Program. Now I will hand it over to the team in Jakarta. So now we have Raj and Christian covering a bit about the technologies that we're developing in Jakarta, to give a bit more of an idea of what we did there. Thank you.
Thank you, Flavia. This is Raj Sentamal. Good afternoon and selamat siang to everyone. I want to tell about my background and then connect that background to another additional points besides the highlights that you saw to differentiate Ion LDP with other career opportunities that you're being exposed to now, right? So I started in India as far as being born and educated, completing my education, bachelor's degree and graduation. And then when I decided to start my career in programming, I did AS400 mainframe. I don't know, most of you may have heard of it, or you may have to Google it, but it used to exist as a legacy programming system, and it still is, strong in many countries, government and banks. But back then, I had to, pursue quite after like maybe 3 years, I had to pursue something different to get opportunity, bigger opportunity, a better opportunity. So I pursued Java, right, and web programming, and I moved to US. And again, I pursued J2EE, which was the enterprise edition, or additional. Just for some of you who don't know, this is an additional step in Java, right? So I got further in Java, and then I realized at that point, early in my career, that I'm chasing just the advances in the language and the computing, computing languages, and I should be specializing in something other than just the programming languages, right? So then I was keen to pursue a job in something enterprise knowledge or banking after doing some research. And I joined JP Morgan, which is a bank and also a customer of ION. And I'd been with JP Morgan for 12 years, and then I had joined ION. I've been with ION for 5 years now. So 17 years I have stayed after the decision, right? And I've also, from a career standpoint, I also grew mostly due to that decision, right? So it was useful for me, and I think it'll be useful for you to understand, as well as to how the enterprise application and solutions differ from some of the retail and the B2C that you might generally see, or the Indonesian market's flooded with B2C, and it's a growing market for enterprises. Enterprise market already exists, or it keeps growing because it has to scale up a lot, given that the world-class enterprise solutions have developed and gone beyond, above and beyond, right? So there is a lot of growth in expected in the enterprise application, and ION ION serves premium enterprise solutions to the in the market, right? So we have top-notch, world-class customers who are actually served with ION. And some of the numbers you might have seen in the slide before that talks about the transaction values and the assets that are being maintained using ION solutions are in trillions of dollars, which is simply not many companies in the world can actually talk about those numbers, right? So that shows you the difference, some of the differences in what might be the enterprise versus how the enterprises and banking solutions can help. And typically how it relates to a developer in terms of all the enterprise enterprise solutions I've talked about, is that the enterprise user workflow is typically a lot more deeper than the retail and B2C, which also means that when you solve those workflows, when you make when you have to develop solutions for those workflows, you will understand the businesses and enterprises a lot more, and that will help you a lot, or it helped me a lot. So I just wanted to give that point just to benefit from differentiating with other career opportunities and career talks that you might get. With that said, I'll hand off to Chris to explain about the technology stacks that we offer. And good luck to everyone. I'm looking forward to talking to you. If you have questions as well, please shoot in the end or anytime in the middle in the chat as well. Off to you, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Raj. Oke, halo teman-teman semuanya. Selamat siang, saya Christian, Development Director di Jakarta. Saya juga Binesian, tapi tentunya sudah beberapa tahun yang lalu. Jadi saya sangat senang hari ini dapat kesempatan dari BINUS untuk diskusi tentang LDP, ION LDP program ini buat teman-teman yang baik dari BINUS maupun yang bukan dari BINUS. So untuk kesempatan ini saya akan coba highlight sedikit untuk teknologi yang kita pakai. Tentunya tadi kalian lihat begitu banyak produk dan lain-lain. Tapi ini yang saya highlight di sini ada basically ada 3 stack teknologi yang kita pakai, mostly oleh tim teknologi di Jakarta. Stack pertama kita ada stack yang menggunakan JavaScript, seperti yang kalian lihat kita menggunakan Express.js untuk backend, and then untuk UI-nya di stack itu menggunakan React.js, Angular, dan untuk data layer, data service layer kita menggunakan Neo4j, Redis. Untuk stack yang pertama itu. Stack yang kedua kita ada stack yang heavily menggunakan Java. So dan untuk Java framework yang kita pakai untuk backend kita heavily rely ke Spring framework, dan untuk UI-nya kita ada menggunakan JavaScript dan JSP. And then just ada stack satu lagi which is heavily on the .NET menggunakan C#. So jika kalian lihat kita di situ ada .NET Framework dan .NET Core. Basically kita dalam peralihan dari .NET Framework ke .NET Core. Dan untuk teknologi pendukung, kalau kalian pernah dengar mungkin tentang CI, CD, di beberapa tim kita menggunakan tools yang berbeda. Jadi kalau kalian di situ ada tim yang menggunakan TFS, ada yang menggunakan Docker, ada yang pakai Jenkins, dan di tim Java sendiri kita ada menggunakan TeamCity. Jadi kalau kalian bergabung dengan program ini, kalian akan punya kesempatan untuk belajar banyak hal tentunya. Untuk practice development sendiri kita heavily menggunakan Agile, baik ada yang one week sprint atau 2 week sprint, ada berbeda-beda tentunya sesuai dengan project life cycle yang masing-masing. Terus untuk desain biasanya kita heavily menggunakan object oriented design dan domain design practice. Jadi itu juga sesuatu yang waktu kalian bergabung pasti kalian akan belajar tentang itu, dan kalian akan mengerti bagaimana kita mendevelop suatu produk. Ya saya rasa untuk teknologi saya nggak akan bahas terlalu dalam, tapi high levelnya seperti itu. Jadi kalau ada pertanyaan nanti mungkin bisa langsung di Q&A. Okay, thank you. Love you.
Yep, thank you for that. And now, oh, there you go. Hope you found technology interesting. Thanks, Christian. We will now hand it over to Lisa, who will be speaking a little bit about our office in Jakarta and the benefits offered by the company in Jakarta.
Okay, I will explain about Jakarta office and benefit in Bahasa. So, selamat siang teman-teman. Next slide. Oke, Jakarta office kita posisinya, alamatnya kita ada di WTC 3, tepatnya di lantai 20. Kita ada di kawasan Sudirman. Kalian tahu kalau kawasan Sudirman itu kawasan company, perusahaan-perusahaan, dan kalau kalian untuk getting there to WTC by MRT, kalian akan berhenti di stasiun Bendungan Hilir dan kemudian kalian akan jalan menuju ke WTC kira-kira 3 menit. Dan kalau untuk menggunakan busway, kalian akan berhenti di bus stop Karet Sudirman. Mungkin saat ini yang kalian lebih kenal itu JPO terbaru, yaitu Skybridge Pinisi. Nah itu Karet Sudirman itu nyambung ke JPO tersebut. Untuk kalian yang menggunakan KRL, stasiun yang terdekat itu di Sudirman. Dari Sudirman itu kalian akan sambung dengan menggunakan bus atau juga kalian menggunakan Grab atau Gojek. kalau menggunakan bus kalian akan berhenti di stasiun Karet Sudirman. Dan kalau menggunakan Gojek atau Grab, kalian nggak bisa berhenti di depan WTC-nya, tapi itu mungkin kalian akan berhenti di sebelum WTC itu ada gang. Nah, di situ kalian akan berhenti di situ, kemudian akan kalian jalan ke WTC-nya. Next slide. Oke, untuk benefit dari IAN benefitnya pertama untuk insurance. Pada saat ini kita menggunakan asuransi dari Astralife. Itu mencakup kesehatan, life, hospital, kesehatan, life, maternity dengan dental. Untuk kesehatan terdiri dari rawat inap. Rawat inap itu kesehatan ini kita akan mendaftarkan semua karyawan kita, baik karyawan wanita maupun karyawan pria beserta keluarga dan yaitu 1 istri atau suami dan 3 anak maksimal. Biasanya kalau di perusahaan yang lain itu mereka hanya meregistrasi karyawan pria saja, sedangkan karyawan wanita mereka tidak registrasi, tidak daftarkan. Tapi kalau kita daftarkan karyawan wanita beserta suaminya dan anak-anaknya. Dan lanjut kita akan untuk kesehatan, untuk rawat inap. Rawat inap itu limit yang diberikan adalah 1,5 juta per hari, per malam. Dan untuk limit tahunannya 300 juta. Untuk rawat jalan itu limitnya 25 juta per tahun. Dan di sini kalau misalkan kita mau ke dokter spesialis, kita bisa dapat langsung ke dokter spesialis tanpa rujukan dari dokter umum. Biasanya kalau asuransi lain itu kalau kita mau ke dokter spesialis harus ada rujukan dulu dari dokter umum. Untuk dental itu limitnya 6 juta per tahun. Tapi kalau untuk kecantikan seperti pasang kawat atau mutihin gigi itu kita nggak bisa klaim. Untuk maternity benefit kalau melahirkan secara normal atau kalau mengalami keguguran itu limitnya 15 juta, dan kalau melahirkan secara sesar limitnya itu 37,5 juta per kehamilan, bukan per tahun. Setelah itu untuk asuransi jiwa yang kita cover itu meninggal, cacat, dan critical illness, penyakit kritis, itu kita akan mendapatkan 3 kali annual salary. Next slide, please. Dan kalian akan memberikan juga benefit gym allowance dan transportation allowance. Itu masing-masing sebesar 550.000 per bulan, dan itu dibayarkan langsung bersamaan dengan payroll tiap bulannya. Dan allowance ini merupakan fixed allowance. Jadi kalau misalkan tidak masuk kerja karena sakit, itu tidak ada potongan. Kemudian employee referral program, di IAN kita akan diberikan referral bonus jikalau misalkan dari perusahaan ada lowongan dan kalian mereferalkan teman kalian, dan teman kalian itu berhasil lulus untuk masa probation selama 3 bulan, kalian akan mendapatkan referral bonus. Berikutnya untuk educational program, kalian dapat klaim atau reimburse biaya jikalau kalian ingin melanjutkan kuliah kalian, misalkan dari D3 ke S1 ataupun S1 ke S2, ataupun kalian ingin mendapatkan sertifikasi ataupun mengikuti kursus-kursus yang ini semua berkaitan dengan pekerjaan kalian ya. Itu kalian bisa reimburse biaya tersebut dan kembali lagi ke approval dari manajemen. Next slide. Untuk gift program, gift program ini maksudnya anniversary dari kalian bekerja di Ion Group. Jadi kita dari perusahaan akan memberikan gift voucher. Pada saat ini kita vouchernya MAP voucher. Setelah itu kita ada vaccination program, itu di cover 550.000 per tahun. Dan kacamata, kalian bisa claim untuk reimbursement kacamata setelah kalian sudah bekerja di Ion 2 tahun dan limitnya 1 juta maksimal. Next. Dan time off program. Kita akan mendapatkan annual leave selama 20 hari, di mana menurut saya ini cukup lumayan banyak, karena biasanya kalau di perusahaan yang lain itu sekitar 12 sampai 15 hari. Dan selain itu juga kalau misalkan ada libur nasional, misalkan libur nasional itu jatuh di hari Sabtu, kita akan diganti liburnya di hari Jumat. Dan kalau misalkan liburnya di hari Minggu, kita akan diganti liburnya di hari Senin. Jadi kalau saya bilang untuk holiday cukup banyak, itu 30 hari ditambah tambahan libur nasional yang jatuh dari Sabtu atau Minggu itu. Setelah itu kita ada compassionate leave, itu kalau misalkan keluarga terdekat kalian meninggal akan diberikan 3 hari. Untuk cuti menikah, anak menikah, ataupun anak disunat atau dibaptis, itu mengikuti ketentuan peraturan pemerintah, yaitu 3 hari, 2 hari, dan 2 hari. Kita juga ada off in lieu. Jadi kalau kalian bekerja di hari libur, kalian bisa minta ganti hari libur, mendapatkan pengganti hari libur, dan ini based on manager approval. Ada juga sick leave, itu 14 hari kerja selama setahun, dengan ketentuan kalau kalian sakit 1 hari, kalian tidak perlu provide surat dokter, tapi kalau lebih dari 1 hari, kalian harus provide surat dokter. Untuk maternity leave, bagi karyawan wanita, ini mendapatkan 16 weeks, which is lebih dari 3 bulan, kemungkinan 4,5 bulan, kalau nggak salah. Untuk cuti keguguran, 6 weeks, dan paternity leave itu untuk karyawan pria yang istrinya melahirkan dan dia akan mendapatkan 2 hari cuti. Sekian dari penjelasan.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. Now I'll hand it over to Anastasia and Hannah. Anastasia is a lead software engineer. Hannah is full stack software engineer, and I think they will be sharing a little bit about their experience with Ion in Jakarta. So I will hand it over to you two, and looking forward to hearing your story. Maybe you can start with Anastasia.
Okay. Thanks, Flavio. Halo semuanya, nama saya Anastasia Wijaya. Saya mulai bekerja di Ion dari software engineer. Ketika itu saya mengerjakan project CXC, produk CXC, dan saya sekarang bekerja sebagai lead software engineer di Product Horizon. Berdasarkan pengalaman saya di Ion cukup memberikan kesempatan untuk belajar, baik dari segi teknikal maupun dari segi non teknikalnya, dan terutama juga sangat menghargai apabila kita mempunyai inisiatif untuk belajar. Contohnya seperti ketika mengerjakan proyek, kita juga bisa berdiskusi dengan orang-orang, apakah dengan dari berbagai sisi seperti dengan QA atau dengan product manager, dan mereka juga bisa menghargai masukan-masukan kita juga. Dan yang saya dapat adalah ketika kita diberi kesempatan untuk mencoba di berbagai bagian juga di produk itu sendiri, seperti misalnya ada bagian logistics, ada bagian forex, ada bagian derivatif, dan yang mana yang lebih tertarik dari segi bisnisnya ataupun dari segi teknikalnya seperti framework, ini bisa meminta untuk apakah kita bisa mencoba di sana atau kita bisa mempelajari sesuatu yang ada di sana. Berdasarkan pengalaman saya seperti itu, dan saya menghargai pendapat kita juga dan keluhan-keluhan yang kita sampaikan juga, salah satunya. Sekarang saya bekerja di bagian derivatif di tim valuation di product horizon, dan saya berhubungan dengan director yang ada di Dallas. Jadi kita biasa ada meeting, walaupun meetingnya itu terkadang bisa malam karena masalah time zone. Tapi asal kita dalam satu hari itu bekerjanya 8 jam sesuai dengan jam kerja kita, itu tidak masalah. Jadi tidak diharuskan harus dari pagi sampai malam seperti itu. Berdasarkan pengalaman saya seperti itu, saya berharap kalian bisa tertarik untuk bergabung dengan skema LDP ini. Terima kasih.
Thanks, Hannah. Hannah, do you want to give your brief?
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Raj, for the opportunity. Saya mau share, tapi bahasanya mix ya, soalnya bisa preferably English. So, nama saya Hannah, dan saya udah bergabung di ION, especially Connect ION products, different from Allegro, since February 2020. Yeah, it's more than 2 years already. I can share with you my experience of how is it to start when I joined Connect ION until now. Well, the culture is always revolves around 2 main points, independence and collaborations. Mungkin sama kayak yang tadi udah Anastasia bilang, kita selalu memberikan waktu untuk belajar, dan itu pun sama, experience sama yang saya rasakan. Pertama kali join ION di Februari 2020, saya tuh shift dari perusahaan yang sebelumnya project based, yang setiap 2 bulan, 3 bulan sekali itu produknya ganti. Jadi kan delivery-nya harus cepat, bukan sesuatu yang kayak scalable, bukan yang kita harus maintain code gitu-gitu, beda. Dan pas waktu pertama kali join ION itu, saya dan beberapa orang lainnya itu pertama-tama tuh di first month or maybe first 6 weeks itu belajar hal yang mendasar, yang tech kayak Angular, Node.js, Docker, even seasoned programmer pun yang mungkin udah pernah programming sejak, maksudnya kayak udah pengalaman gitu ya, tapi bukan dari language yang sama dengan tech stack-nya. Ada yang dari .NET gitu kan, udah 6 tahun, tetap aja harus belajar lagi JavaScript language. So Pertama-tama itu mesti kita dikasih waktu buat belajar. The first point, we need to be independent learner. And then it's always okay to make mistake. Yeah, my last manager said it's always okay to make mistake, but it's unacceptable to not learn from it. So kita selalu terbuka sama orang-orang yang selalu mau belajar, terus implement the things that you've already learned from it, and then make mistake, and then learn from it too. And then, yeah, that's how you grow, right? Yeah, so environment di culture di connection ini sangat kayak supportive untuk learning. And yeah, that's the beginning. And then, ada yang pengen saya tekanin, mungkin ini ada di Indonesian culture. So kebiasaan orang Indonesia banyak yang malas bertanya. So yeah, you cannot grow without ask. Ya soalnya di saat kita jadi student, kita juga tetap butuh guidance kan. Kita butuh orang lain untuk benchmarking. So ya, kalau nggak bertanya, kita akan kehilangan arah. Jadi ya, well, maybe saya akan kasih experience dari pas waktu pertama saya kan the first project itu sebenarnya mungkin kedengarannya simple, menambahkan field baru di profile dan itu tuh bisa diupdate dari profile page dan di tempat lain. Kedengarannya simple tapi tidak sebenarnya di implementasinya. Dan itu saya stuck di situ dan saya baru tahu itu terlalu, maksudnya itu how complicated it is in after 1 week, and then the progress is not good until in the middle of the second weeks, and then saya di situ maksudnya saya di situ melakukannya sendiri, tapi di project itu tetap supervise sama senior developer, and then he asked me, why don't you ask? Why? Actually, I don't know what I want to ask. Yeah, that's how it is. So even when you have no idea about it, at all, don't worry, just say it. Just ask. So yeah, it's a part of making mistake that most Indonesian people sadly I can relate. It's part of maybe a habit, maybe it can be your environment. So yeah, don't worry to ask. There's no dumb question. Yeah, it's okay. Well, maybe that's it. The two main points that I want to learn, to give points to. You need to be independent learner, and then you need to communicate with others, being strong collaborators. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Hannah. I will be honest, I understood only the English parts of that. I think that was extremely inspirational, and I completely agree with all of that. I back that. Okay, thank you very much both for your stories and the ideas shared. Now we have, last but not least, we have Tanay. Tanay has completed the LDP scheme in India, and he will share a little bit about his story with ION. Go ahead, Tanay.
Thanks, Flavio. Hi, everyone. My name is Tanay Khanna, and as Flavio described, I have completed the LDP program. So I joined ION as a part of LDP batch of 2018 in the Noida office in India. And it's like very soon I'll be completing 4 years in ION, and it has been a very fulfilling experience so far being in the organization. What I'll be talking about today is how my journey has been so far, and if probably the points that I'm going to highlight may help you decide whether this is the right program for you to apply or this interests you as well. So a bit about my background. So I did my bachelor's education in computer science, also known as computer engineering. So I'm an engineer by my academia so far. And so while I was about to complete my degree, that's when the IONS opportunity came to the campus. And then I was introduced to this LDP program, which absolutely sound very different from the other offerings in the market, because there are not many organizations in the software domain offering such kind of graduate programs. So I decided to go ahead with that, and I joined ION, and that's where the fun part and the exciting part starts. So as soon as you join the organization, there's like a big gala event happening, which is called the Global Induction. So that's like all the LDPs from various offices of the world who have joined in the recent times. They come together at a single location. In my year, it was actually within India itself. So everybody coming in, and also like some senior leaders from different divisions of the business. And then you are introduced into different businesses of ION. You are told about the culture and stuff like that. So it's really good to know a lot of people, and then get introduced to so many different cultures, different profiles. So all of your fellow LDPs meeting each other. So I think, yeah, it's like personally it was pretty exciting for me. And not just like a global, but also you have further inductions that keep happening for 2 or 3 months when you join the program. So that's like you are given training about which technology stacks you'll be expected to work. You are given more information about the business area that you will be focusing on in, say, your initial rotations. So I think the main highlight about all of this kind of inductions are that apart from the excitement part of it, it also gives you a lot of comfort, in my opinion. So being straight out of college or a campus, directly getting into a corporate, it may be a little intimidating at times. And such kind of a welcoming feel and the time given for you to observe all the knowledge, I think it's very helpful, and it gives like a very positive impact on the culture of an organization. And I think, yeah, that's where I like that part the best in the LDP program. I think, yeah, and once those things are done, then you start moving into your rotations. Like I started with my first rotation in software development, but in the next rotation, I just wanted to move into design, because that was like another part of me which I always wanted to explore, even during my education. So I did my second and third rotations, and then from there on, I actually moved and steered towards UX design roles. So currently, I am a UX architect. So I'm responsible for making user-centered designs for all the different applications. And yeah, I continue to be in that profile right now. Some highlights from all of these rotations that I have done. I think the best parts are that I personally have had an opportunity to work with people across many cities of the world, I would say, many different cultures, many different domains as well. Like in my first rotation, I started with ION markets. Then in the second one, I went ahead with ION analytics. So you're dealing with so many different and vastly different actually business domains. And then as far as locations are concerned, I work on a daily basis with people in Europe, in London. I've worked with people in New York, Sydney. So you can imagine like the breadth being covered. And yeah, I think that really excites me personally. I think would do to you as well. And lastly, I think apart from all the work that I've discussed and the cultural things, there is also like this focus on being innovative and being entrepreneurial in the organization. So you as a LDP are always pushed, as some people have also mentioned in the call so far, that you're always pushed to ask questions, like never hesitate to challenge the status quo. And I think, yeah, that has been really true. It's not just a saying, but I personally have been able to introduce a couple of things in ION. Like we started recently doing a couple of hackathons, internal as well as external. They are called Ionathons. Actually, even one of them is live right now. If you want, you can go and check it out. So it's like we are trying to innovate a lot of internal products, as well as trying to promote the innovative culture to different campuses across the world. So yeah, I think if you join as an LDP, you have a lot of ideas of how things can change, how processes can be improved, what new can be done in the organization. I think you'll be heard, and your ideas will definitely be considered. So I think, yeah, that's in a nutshell my journey so far. And I think I would like to continue on this journey because I see a lot more good work and excitement for me in the times to come as well. That's all. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Tanay. Very interesting story. And I mean, I'm also doing the LDP, and I'm doing it in London, so completely different location from Tanay. And I can share, and I can say I completely agree with everything he said. Let's say that the LDP is consistent across the world in the way it's delivered. So these key highlights, key benefits, I think they are replicated across all the different offices. So I can definitely back that up. So now just before going into the Q&A section, I just want to, first want to say that I hope you enjoyed this informative talk about ION, the LDP, our work in Jakarta, tech stack, and the speakers that we've had today. So if you're interested into applying and joining the team, so the LDP will start in 1st of August, so that would be the start date. Now to apply, we will share a link. I think here we've also been helped to be advertised. But so the process is as follows. So you will apply on the website, on our website, ION Group, and it's mostly just about uploading the CV, and you can write some comments if you want on top. Then that would be processed in around about 2 weeks, a week, 2 weeks. You will, if that's successful, the screening process, you will get invitation for a technical assessment in a language that you prefer. And then after that, if that's successful, you will be invited to do a video interview. That's a one-to-one interview, and with our team. And then again, if that's successful, the final, let's say, applicants will be invited to the Super Day, which is the final assessment stage, where for a half day, so around 3 to 4 hours, there would be intensive assessments like various interviews, a case study, and group exercise type of activities, and that we're still stabilizing the date for that, and it will probably be virtual. We are still deciding if it's in virtual or in person in the Jakarta office. So and then eventually those who are successful in the Super Day will be sent an invitation to join the Leadership Development Program. And as I said, the start date will be beginning of August. So now I'm happy to answer any questions on that as well. I will open it up to a Q&A if there are any questions. I'm not sure how we want to answer them, if it's best if you put on the chat or if we have a mediator, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you Flavio, Raj, Hannah, Anastasia, Tanay, and everyone from ION Group for the explanation. Oke teman-teman, kita sudah masuk ke sesi tanya jawab nih. Tadi seru banget ya, kita udah dengerin secara detail tentang ION Group, terus mengenal lebih dekat lah tentang ION Group, lalu apa saja sih yang bisa dikerjakan di ION Group, dan career opportunity yang juga dibuka di sana. Nah tadi kan teman-teman juga udah simak ya informasi mengenai opening untuk Leadership Development Program yang akan mulai di tanggal 1 Agustus 2022. Nah, jadi kesempatannya ini terbuka sangat luas, teman-teman, khususnya untuk teman-teman yang memang ingin punya karir nih di global company ya, ini pas banget untuk teman-teman bisa apply ke Ion Group karena tadi udah di-mention juga sebelumnya ada international exposure karena teman-teman nanti bisa punya benefit nih, bisa bekerja di multicultural ya. Nah, tadi kan dari Mbak Hana dan Mbak Anastasia juga udah sharing nih pengalaman menariknya ya, bisa kerja dengan berbagai macam latar belakang dan background di mana itu pastinya bisa mengembangkan growth mindset teman-teman juga nih nantinya ketika berkarir di sana. Nah, mungkin di sini boleh di-share teman-teman saat ini kalian dari jurusan apa aja, terus apakah udah lulus atau lagi skripsi nanti, atau kalau ada yang mau bertanya nih langsung boleh open mic dan chat di kolom chat box ya. Nah, nanti dari Binus Karir kita juga akan share link untuk apply ke program leadership development-nya ini. Nanti akan dibantu Kak Yana ya. Nah, ini udah ada yang raise hand. Flavio, we have a participant who would like to ask. This is Muhammad ya. Siapa nih namanya nggak kan lagi?
Yeah. Hello.
Oke.
Afternoon, everyone.
Halo, siapa
Yeah.
namanya? Nama
Yeah, my name
aku nggak kebaca.
is. My name is Febrian. You can call me Febrian.
Oke, Febrian.
I'm from Venus also, and this is a very interesting. Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for the explanation also. I have a question for the rotation. So, do we? We have to do all of the rotation, or if we feel like we let's say we enjoy in this position, like let's say in case in we have a background in let's say in database, something like that, then do we need to do all of the rotation, or how it will be?
Sure. Thank you for that. I would give a first stab. Then, if someone else, like for example, Tane, you have a similar experience, want to jump in, feel free to. So the aim of the rotations is not just to show you, to make you do different jobs so that you just find out what you want to do. It's also a reason. So if you don't know exactly what you want to specialize on, it's good to have different experiences. However, the reason why we do the rotations is because so that you learn how to be extremely flexible, work with different teams, work in different areas of the business, learn quickly, and just be able to be on your feet and move around. What differentiates an LDP from a normal full-time employee is that the LDP has to always reset to the status quo to then pick up new challenges. So even though you know that in the long term you want to focus on database structuring, the experience would still be foundational in developing your skills, your personality, your mindset to succeed in a specific field, because it develops you personally. Now, said that, so that means that by default there will be different rotations. Said that, in exceptional circumstances, it can happen. Well, first of all, if you have an interest in database, I'm not sure. It depends on the business needs of that we have in Jakarta. If there is a need for that, it may be possible to get a rotation for you in specifically that. But essentially, in exceptional circumstances, it can happen that if you're such a well-used resource for that role, because say you have a background, you add so much value, and really the team can't do without you in that rotation, there may be some flexibility on the fact that maybe you can do 2 rotations in the same. And I think Tane can speak for that, because I think something similar happened to him. But that would be only an exceptional case where it's very clear for the business, for you, for everyone, that's what should happen. But I would see it as basically you do 2 rotations into the same role, and then eventually when you decide your deep dive, you can definitely stay there for the long term. So I hope that gives you both sides of the argument. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to add anything from the ION team.
Just to highlight, it's actually a cost for the company to do the rotation, right? So if you're looking at, my background is DBA, I want to continue my DBA role in one team or two team, and there is opportunity for you to do this rotation, that can be definitely considered, right? But to give you opportunity to do multiple roles means that to the point that you learn to be flexible, and to some of them who are undecided, it gives an opportunity, and which also means that from a productivity standpoint, there is a time for you to learn, and then you become productive after some time, right? So it was designed to cover all of the aspects, but what you're asking would be the easiest one to cover in a lot of respects, right? But the suggestions and recommendations would be there, but if you're very certain, then that's probably one of the easier one to implement. Does that make sense?
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Can I have some question? Another question? I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah. After the program is finished, right? After 3 years, and then what will happen? I mean, what is the is there any like final exam or something like that? So yeah.
No, if you want to call it exam, it's not. But the only time there is a sort of assessment is within the first 6 months that you join ION. So the first 6 months are probation, where essentially you would be considered as a temporary employee, because it's a period. I mean, all companies have those. But then after that happens, even though you're doing the rotations, you are considered a full-time employee. You're officially a full-time employee of ION Group with access to the benefits and so on and so forth. Which means that at the end of the rotations, what happens is there is no formal test. In choosing your deep dive, so where exactly, or after your deep dive, where exactly you will be, there is a stage where, of course, you have to communicate with the team you want to work for and with. There needs to be a mutual agreement from both of you that you go work for that team. But then once there's that agreement, you're a full-time employee in that team. And hopefully, because usually that's what happens all the time, because you've done the LDP, you will have a good role in the team because of the experience you have on your back. So no, there's no such exam. It's just at the end there's that agreement, and and then you're allocated, you're moved to that team, or you stay in that team and just start full time. It's very, very simple.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Flavio.
Thank you, Febrian, untuk pertanyaannya. Semoga bisa menjawab ya, Febrian ya. Thank you, Flavio and Raj. Next question we have in chat box from Rizky Suharyadi. He asking, what are the characteristics of candidates that ION is looking for this LDP? And if a candidate's application was rejected, can he or she apply again?
Yeah, I can give initial. I'll say from as an LDP with an international perspective, but if the local team, so if Jakarta team has any requirements, of course, please share. Overall, at a very high level, LDPs are not expected to know everything about fintech, about the tech stack, about anything we do when they start, right? So that means that in terms of knowledge, you're not expected to be a genius in fintech when you join. Okay, this is a learning program, and then the whole aim is to facilitate the best learning possible. So no issues there. But it is very important for the LDPs to have characteristics such as, I mean, and these are all topics that were touched in the talk today. So be flexible. Of course, because of the nature of the 3 rotations, different projects coming at you, you will have to basically always stay on your feet and be agile and be able to pick up different tasks and adopt different mindset and work with different people. So flexibility is extremely important. Something very good about LDPs across the world is that they are able, they can be stretched in so many directions because they are able to be flexible. So that's super important. If then number 2, it's very important to have leadership. So that means that you are ready to put ideas forward. You're ready to, if you think something you're thinking of is right, influence the people around you, and don't shy away from putting an idea forward. Now, as a relatively junior person, many times the idea may not be eventually exactly what would be done because of course there may be more senior people that know better, but many other times it can happen that after trying many times that idea gets put forward, and that's your window of opportunity to move forward. So it's like think about like a training with boxing. You know, it's look at the company like your box bag. You keep punching at it, and at the beginning you're very weak, but then eventually you have enough strength to move it and to really train properly. So that's when you keep trying to implement leadership, put ideas forward, and really try to convince people. Eventually, you will become a leader in the company. So that's really important. And then eventually and then the third one and final is the ability to work well with other people. So ION, we are extremely collaborative. Again, I think we had both Hannah and Tanay saying it is that asking questions is very important. Interaction is very important. And therefore, if you just come in and work in a silo, that's not good. Collaboration is extremely important, and that's what makes us. So being able to work with together with other people and be a nice person to other people is extremely important. And all these traits, so flexibility, leadership, and ability to work with other people, as you can see, is nothing to do with fintech or knowledge. It's just you is the characteristics of you, and that's what we would praise in applicants. If anyone wants to add anything, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, so the questions related to if the application is rejected and you want to, this is related to risky question, right?
Yeah. So there. So is that for me? Is that a question for me, Raj?
Yeah, I can. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that if that's the question, then yeah, I mean, right now we have a technical analyst role, but there are multiple positions that may require different characteristics and different skill sets that you might have been exposed to. So, but we are reviewing from that one application. We are reviewing, and we will reply back. It's a very comprehensive program of screening the resume and reviewing each resume, and then setting up the next course of action, as well as like interview, etc. And if we think you fit into any of that, we will actually contact you back and definitely let you know. Even if we say rejection and something new comes up, we will definitely contact you back. So I don't think there will be a need for you to apply again, but yeah, you're open to apply again. Does it explain that part?
Yeah, just to finish on that, it's not possible to apply for the same year. So as in for this year, if it's not successful, then we actually have the record and everything's in the system. You should not apply again for this year because the decision has already been made. But we recruit every year, and let's say we do also consider grads that have graduated 1 year in advance. So now we are also looking at grads in 2021. So then you have a chance to apply next year. But for this year, it's not possible for the same program here.
Yeah, and also one more thing just to understand this program, this is for the benefit of new grad actually getting to learn corporate side of enterprise programming and enterprise solutions and whatever ION offers from the as a big company and providing solutions to a lot of big companies, to get you up to speed and be effective in and be prepared for 2 or 3 different roles or teams, so that there is a long-term future for the person who are being selected for the LDP, and that's the long-term vision. And there is a lot of investment from the company towards it, right? And I'm really excited to say that Indonesia was selected this year, and Jakarta is being primed this year. This is a successful project for more than for several years in multiple locations, as I explained before. So this is with a lot of expectations that has been mentioned before. This is also carefully tailored for the benefit of you're learning and fitting into the environment for in the 1.5 year, and then it makes it a lot easier for you to become a professional right from the word go, but then grooming and really be well oiled and function smoothly after after those rotations. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Oke, semoga cukup menjawab ya, Rizky. The explanation from Flavio and Raj about the question. Nah, next, mungkin teman-teman di sini udah banyak tahu ya kalau kebutuhan tech talents itu juga semakin meningkat nih di berbagai kebutuhan industri ya, baik dari sisi teknologi atau financial tech. Sekarang juga banyak. Nah, I would like to ask, especially maybe to Flavio or Raj or rest of the team, what do you think is the best skill sets, especially for tech talents, soft skills or hard skills, they should be prepared as a generation to be ready for facing the demand of the future?
I'm happy for you to go ahead, Raj.
All right. Thanks, Flavio. Yeah, that's a good big question, Mazita. So, yeah, I can give a couple of points, and maybe Chris can spend in a couple of points, and then Flavio can pitch in as well. So, and others as well. So, to me, like the world is always changing, right? It is evolving and changing, and the IT and the technology front is at the forefront of how the world is changing, right? It is enabling the change in a way. So staying ahead of the game is important. At the same time, that is by learning programming languages, or choosing to become a developer or a database administration or a salesperson or a marketing person in different part of this technology would actually be helpful, because there is already a lot of jobs around here, and more you learn towards these specific technological jobs that you align yourself based on your interest. That is important. Maybe you may have 1 or 2 interests that are conflicting and you're not sure, but that is okay. You may want to try and get an opportunity where then you can specify if the first opportunity gives you a growth or a platform wherein you can jump from there to another, right? That said, like if you're a developer and if you're interested in programming, with a lot of like logical thinking, problem solving thinking, and continuously being programming or development that excites you, then Java, C#, and the latest object oriented and JavaScript, full stack, full stack, all of that is pretty interesting. And the old style enterprises of like SAP, Oracle, they are also very very helpful to understand how the enterprise flows are set up. And databases around these Oracle, SQL Server, and many of the new databases like MongoDB, etc. They're also pretty good to know, as well as trying to learn some practices, right? So in terms of software solutions, there are a lot of different practices, and from those practices perspective, agile is how the projects are managed, and that is one of the methodologies. And you have test-driven development, which is actually a practice of how you actually learn to start programming or developing with keeping test in mind, which actually puts the testing right in front on automation that'll come along with the testing, as well as all the functionalities as you learn. So all of these are very useful to learn, especially on the programming and the development world. And from a business standpoint, I'll let Flavio might be able to give in a little bit more insight as well. So from a business analysis or business functionality analysis, people should be open to learn, and that was my point from before. You learn the technology, but then be open to understand what is it you're working against, right? Is it inventory management, or is it order tracking, or is it so what does it mean for each of the steps in the involved in each of the transaction? How data is important, and how it is reported, how it is the dashboards, what are the different users, the management versus the people who are maintaining the accounts, or so for different users, etc. So there is a wide area, and those are the points that I would give us to prepare for the future. Off to who wants to take next, Chris or Flavio?
I can add in a little bit. From my view, if the question about technology or programming language and so on, I think there is no silver bullet for everything, because we know now there is a lot of complex application, a lot of technology to learn, but I think the most important one is from our mindset, like Flavio mentioned about to be agile, to be flexible. And then Anna also mentioned about the flexibility. If we notice, she's talking about the working hour, how she become flexible on the working hours. Some people may not like it to stay maybe at 9 p.m., but some people understand that that's a requirement, because we were working with the global company, and there is a flexibility also there, right? Like Anastasia mentioned. And I think the culture that Hannah mentioned about asking the question is very important also as a mindset. When we work with the people, regardless the language and product and whatever it is, you work with, let's say, your senior, and your senior asks you to do something, and it might be great that yes, you solve it, but you may not know what the reason behind that. So something that I learned earlier from my career also, I used to ask if there is a requirement. I'm a developer, software engineer, and a beginner, right? And usually people may think that I'm a developer, software engineer, I just need to code, right? I don't need to know the business. You just tell me, give me the functional spec, I will do it, right? You give me 3 fields, 4 fields, 1 button, 2 button, this button, do saving, whatever, I just do it. I think that's not right in my view. As a software engineer, we need to understand why do we need this, right? Why do we need this field? Why this logic like this? So that's what how I learned the product, how I learned the business as well. And if some product or functional ask me to do something, I will ask, why do you need this form, and who will use it? And I will ask further also why the design like this, and how many data that will involve, how many data per day. And that's all the questions that as an engineer we need to ask. So I think I would like to add other than technology, that I think that mindset is important as well. That's it from me. anyone wants to add in, feel free. Thank you.
I will not add anything because I think what both of you together have painted a very good, complete picture. So happy with that.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Raj, Pak Christian and Flavio. Last question, maybe before we head to the end of the session. What do you think about the digital mindset in today's young generation as we now live more digital, especially during after the pandemic? So what do you think about the young generation facing the digital transformation nowadays?
I can give an initial comment as one of those people of the young generation facing digital. I think so. I'll just say from personal experience observation. So I when I was growing up and recently when I was at university, I really enjoyed reading books on digital transformation and seeing and reading these things about how artificial intelligence will shape new markets, new technologies and like finance will be revolutionized and will change, and software will be much more important in the world of finance and other areas of the business. And I always found it quite interesting. But also I was out of that. I was still studying. I was out of that world, right? Then I joined Ion, and of course it is a software company. We do innovate, we do automate. So we are part of the force pushing towards that change, right? I see articles of, like, for example, banks, major clients of ours, that are investing huge amounts of capital in the tech transformation and digital transformation, and I always wondered, well, if the banks that are finance are investing in tech, it means we play a role in that, right? And that's exactly the more time I spend at Ion, that's what I see. We are part of that wave. We are deep inside that, and we are part of that digital transformation. So what I see is when I compare myself to my peers, that, for example, I have some friends that didn't work for a tech company, did just pure finance, for example. I can see that they learn a lot of manual processes, manual tasks. I know that they have to do a lot of like file sharing, save and upload and save, and they're not tech savvy, so they are digitally behind. But instead, what I see at Ion, we are the opposite. We move towards the opposite direction. We actually automate, and we develop the technology that allows to automate, and I really feel part of that change. So when you say, how are you impacted by digital transformation? Now, I wouldn't see it as you being impacted. I'd see you as driving the seat of digital transformation. So that's the way I would see it. And when you're in the company, you do see that, and your contribution will be key in leading the way in the fintech space for that. So that's my general comment, more maybe from a business side. I'll let the rest of the team pick up any more tech or detail with that.
Okay, thank you, Flavio. Is anyone again want to add some more?
Just a little bit. I think you guys are in a very attractive position. I'm jealous I'm not as young as you are, because technology at its peak is getting a lot of new ideas and a lot of different ways to solve the problem. I look forward to a really exciting time in the future, right? Like there are so many things happening in technological front, decentralized, and that is changing the fintech, and that is changing everything that we know of as to how we use and the social media, etc. So I think you must be very excited and to be entering at a stage where there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of things that you can do, and that's what I think from a digital mindset, what they offer. Of course, there are some dangers around, like getting lost too much with browsing or internet, etc., where you have to be, you have to be disciplined yourself to guide into being more proactive and being being able to go out there and do something, or being able to do going out there is also metaverse, or like it not doesn't have to be physically going out these days. So it is all in all exciting. Just be cautious and be positive, and I think you have a great time ahead.
Oke, thank you Raj for the heads up. Oke teman-teman, itu tadi tanya jawab kita, sesi kita dengan Ion Group, menarik sekali. Jadi teman-teman tadi udah dengerin banyak tentang kesempatan nih untuk bisa berkarir secara global dan internasional dalam program yang sedang dibuka saat ini, yaitu Leadership Development Program. Jadi teman-teman yang memang tertarik untuk bisa join ke Ion Group, kita sudah share linknya untuk apply langsung di kolom chat box. Teman-teman yang belum mendaftar, jangan lupa segera mendaftar karena programnya akan dimulai di tanggal 1 Agustus 2022 nih. Jadi teman-teman yang mungkin saat ini sedang skripsi atau mungkin bahkan sudah lulus skripsi dan akan segera wisuda di pertengahan tahun ini, mungkin bisa pas banget nih untuk ikut program ini ya teman-teman. Karena tadi benefitnya juga banyak sekali, tadi juga udah dijelaskan oleh Bu Lisa tentang benefit apa saja yang bisa diperoleh jika join dengan Ion Group. Nah teman-teman yang paling penting adalah kalau kita membahas tentang bekerja di dunia teknologi dan digital, kayaknya nggak ada habis-habisnya ya, karena semakin banyak hal menarik khususnya di era sekarang ini. Jadi teman-teman bisa explore banyak hal juga nantinya bersama dengan Ion Group. Nah tadi juga kita sudah share link absen, jangan lupa teman-teman untuk mengisi link absennya. Before we close the session, any closing statement maybe from Ion Group?
Well, I hope we spoke enough. But if I have to, maybe it would be good to have to do a round table and have a quick takeaway, one sentence takeaway from all of us. That'd be great. And I can start. I will just say that as an LDP myself, I'm extremely grateful for having done this program, because I was able to develop like horizontally, so many different things, as well as vertically, so specialize in specific areas, and really finding what I want to do for the long term. So now working in data science, in analytics. So that's I'm extremely grateful for that. And I have many friends that work in different companies, and I didn't find that level of let's say contentness in their career path they chose, because they never had the flexibility to explore different areas. They were always starting in one area, and that's it. So I'm grateful for that. That's me. Maybe I can say names. Yeah. Maybe Raj can go next. Otherwise it gets confusing. I can say what I see in the order.
Yeah, sure. Hey, thanks, Flavio. So the last statement, we have great BINUS alumni as employees, and even ex-employees. We've had some great people from BINUS. So we would like to continue that. So welcome everyone. I welcome everyone to try and join LDP. I think it's a great program. I'm very grateful Ion has approved to start this year in Jakarta. Would like to get this started well, and please join and welcome.
Oke, thank you Flavio dan Raj. Nah, teman-teman, jadi jangan sampai kelewatan nih kesempatan menarik ini ya, karena tadi kan sudah ada 8 LDP office, 8 LDP office, and then 6 more is coming up. So the opportunity for you all is really wide open. So before we close today's session, maybe we would like to have a picture together. I would like anyone who could open the cam to join the photo session. And I would like to thank you once again for everyone who already attended the session, and also for Ion team, Flavio, Raj, Hana, Tanay, Anastasia, Lisa, and Pak Christian. Thank you so much untuk waktunya. Thank you for the time. It's very exciting to have the interactive session with you all. Oke, teman-teman, boleh yang bisa open cam, kita foto bersama dulu, teman-teman. Bisa kelihatan nih wajah-wajah yang dari tadi banyak yang sudah join dari awal sampai siang ini. Terima kasih. Oke, mungkin ada yang mau open cam dulu. Kita tunggu nih teman-teman. Mungkin mau siap-siap. Oke, nah udah kelihatan nih wajah-wajah penuh semangatnya nih. Passionate faces of the day today. Thank you so much all. Oke, mungkin kita hitung sampai 3 nih ya, teman-teman. Untuk foto bersamanya nanti akan dibantu oleh teman-teman dari Binus Career juga. Oke, let's count down to 3. Oke. In 1, 2, 3, have the smile. Okay, next page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you again for all the participants and for Ion Group. It's very exciting. And jangan lupa teman-teman yang belum absen bisa segera mengisi absennya. Dan yang belum mendaftar untuk program LDP-nya bisa langsung klik linknya di kolom chat. Tadi sudah diberikan juga. Teman-teman, kalau ada pertanyaan lainnya untuk Ion Group juga bisa email ke kampushiring@binus.edu. Jadi teman-teman bisa langsung drop question di sana. Terima kasih sekali lagi. Semoga sehat untuk semuanya. Mohon maaf bila ada kekurangan. I wish you all have a good day and stay healthy and have a good day. See you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yep.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.